guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to talk about the week leading up to me having Carson and all the events that took place, just so you can kind of see what happened, because majority of the people that I know don't know anything about what happened. So we'll start with the week prior. 1 week and 1 day before I had Carson, me and my boyfriend went to a concert, and I was wearing heels, so my back started hurting really bad in the middle of the concert. Plus we just weren't feeling the concert for many reasons, so we decided we were gonna leave. So I thought the back pain was because of the heels, so my boyfriend had to drive us home that night. I couldn't even drive, my back was hurting so bad. I kept calling the after hours line for my OB, and all they could tell me was to take Tylenol. So for about a week straight, I had excruciating back pain, and the only thing I could do was take Tylenol. So every day I would max out the most Tylenol I could take in a 24-hour period. Also, I had done the 24-hour urine sample to see if there was protein in my urine because my blood pressure had been high, so they were already on the edge of diagnosing me with preeclampsia. So I was monitoring my blood pressure all week. It was pretty high. At one point it was 153/99, which I mean isn't extremely high, but it's definitely high enough to, in my opinion, be diagnosed. Also, just to put into perspective what happened that week, I had taken 4 midterms from Monday to, I believe, Wednesday. I had taken 4 midterms. So I would say I was stressed at least a little bit. I know going into the exams though, I told myself it is what it is. I studied, I'm gonna get what I'm gonna get, so I wasn't too worried about it, so I don't think I was too stressed about it. That Wednesday, I surprised my boyfriend with tickets to go see his favorite basketball team who was in the area, and that was actually the last photo I ever got to take pregnant, and I was 24 weeks exactly that Wednesday, so it's kind of special. It's hanging up somewhere. This is the last photo I ever got to take pregnant, 24 weeks exactly. Thursday, I went to my 24-week checkup. The tech took my blood pressure, and she said it wasn't high enough to diagnose me with preeclampsia. She said I think she said it was like 130/80, which I knew for a fact it was not, because I had been monitoring it all week long, and God forbid for that split second it was fine. Then my midwife comes in and she tells me, 1, I have to stop taking Tylenol because it's bad for my liver, and 2, she decided to do my blood work, but she didn't decide to retake my blood pressure. After I left there, my midwife told me instead of taking Tylenol that I can use a heating pad. So imagine being in excruciating back pain and being told the only thing you can do is use a heating pad. Okay. From there I went to the pharmacy because I wanted to get on top of trying to get a breast pump. So while I was there waiting to see what was going to go on with that, I took my blood pressure at the blood pressure machine that they had there, and it was way higher than what the tech had said. Then I go see my grandparents, we go get lunch, go to the grocery store. My back pain wasn't as bad, and I picked up a heating pad. So I go to work that night. I only had to work a couple hours. My back was hurting so bad. I texted my boyfriend, told him I was just going home. He had to pick some things up from the store, and I needed to go to bed because I was in that much pain. I came home, took my blood pressure, took my temperature. My temperature was low. It was 97. It's usually 97.6. Not that big of a deal. My blood pressure was 166/109. Hours after I was told I didn't have high blood pressure. Okay. So I tried to go to bed. I woke up and I ran to the bathroom and threw up because my back was hurting so bad. It was probably like 3 o'clock in the morning at this point. Threw up so much. That was the only time I had ever thrown up my entire pregnancy, was the night before I had Carson. I texted the family I work for and told them I would not be in on Friday. I had to go to the hospital. My back was hurting way too bad. So I get a call Friday morning from my midwife. It was probably 7:30 at this point, and she said my lab results had came back and I needed to head to the office immediately. So I lived 2 hours away. I told her I'd pack a bag and I'd head there. So pack some snacks, and I called my best friend because she lives in Salisbury and my doctor's appointment was in Easton. So she was going to meet me in Easton, so I call her when I leave. When I get in the car, my vision's kind of blurry, and I wasn't sure why. I did think it was because I hadn't slept in a week. So I'm driving. So I get to the tunnel, and the person in front of me was driving slow, so I went to switch lanes, and then I realized I couldn't see anything. So I switched back behind that car, and all I could see was the bumper the whole way through the tunnel. I go through the toll. I try to pull over on the side of the road. Wasn't 100% sure it was the side of the road, just guessed. So I call my boyfriend. He thinks I'm being dramatic. Then I call my midwife, and she says to head to the hospital, to a hospital that was a little closer than the office, to have somebody either come pick me up and take me there or to call 911. Call my boyfriend back. He said he wouldn't get there fast enough just to call 911. Call 911. And as I'm on the phone with them, my head is pounding, my back is hurting, I feel myself falling to the left, and that's when the police officer opened my passenger side door. So when he did that, I turned over and looked at him and came to. A couple minutes later, the ambulance showed up. I get in the back of the ambulance, blood pressure through the roof. We're there for probably 30 minutes because they can't figure out where to take me because the hospital my midwife wanted me to go to was too far. So they finally end up taking me just to the closest hospital, which was right down the street. My best friend had my location, so she was following me the whole way, trying to figure out where we were or where I was. So we get to the hospital. I end up having a seizure, so they rushed me to the operating room. I came out of the seizure in the operating room. So they take me, I guess they took me to my own room, not too sure, don't remember much. They did tell me I had one steroid shot, and they were going to transfer me to a different hospital where I would get my second steroid shot the following day. The steroid shots were to help his lungs mature quickly. Best friend gets there, and she's calling everyone, updating everyone, letting everyone know what's going on, a brief description of what's going on. They transfer me to the next hospital because it was a better hospital, had a way better NICU, actually had a NICU. I don't think the first hospital even had one. The second hospital I got there at 1 o'clock. I just remember all these people being around me, and this woman comes up to me and goes, "You need to sign for your C-section." I said, "I'm not doing that. That's crazy. What are you talking about?" And she's like, "No, you seriously need to sign for your C-section." I said, "I'm not doing that. My baby needs to stay in and cook longer. I'm not having him. There's no way." I knew nothing. I didn't know the age of viability. I didn't know anything. I didn't know his odds of anything. So I said no, and I was not doing it. She looked at me and she goes, "You're dying. You need to sign now." Lost my mind. I screamed, I cried hysterically. It was the worst possible thing anyone could ever tell me, is that I needed to deliver my son at 24 weeks and 2 days. I lost my mind. A nurse ended up visiting me a couple months later and saying that she was in the room when I was told I had to sign for the C-section, and she said it was one of the saddest things she's ever witnessed, me just screaming and crying, and it's just terrible. And especially when you just don't know, you don't know anything. I end up signing, and all I kept saying was, do everything you can for him, do everything, no matter what it is. And when I was refusing to sign, I just remember saying, I don't care what happens to me, I just want him to be okay. I don't care what happens to me, I just want him to be okay. but I didn't take into consideration if something happens to me, something happens to him. I don't know what. Well, I was so out of it, like in and out of it for hours at this point. So after I signed and took all my jewelry out, my best friend came in, and so she was in this yellow jumpsuit, and I just remember her saying, everything's going to be okay, and she had called everyone, and then they told her she had to leave. So once she left, I just remember them putting the mask on me, and I was out. So because it was an emergency and they had to move fast, I was completely under. And like I said, I came through the door at 1 o'clock. He was born at 1:31. So I came through the door, had to comprehend that I had to deliver my baby that second. I also remember after they said I had to deliver, I called my boyfriend and I told him that they told me I was going to have a C-section. And I remember him telling me, I know, babe, like, I know we're going to have a big baby, like, you're going to end up needing a C-section. I just remember telling him, like, no, now. And I'm crying, and I will never forget, and he goes, now? And I was like, yes, now, like, I'm going back now. So that was horrible. After surgery, I remember waking up and them saying, look who's here to see you. So I look over to my left, and my boyfriend was standing there, and I asked him, like, weeks later what I said to him, like, what my first words were that I said to him after surgery, and he said, I said, I love you, and let's pray. So I thought that was very special, that the first thing I think of when I come out of surgery is let's pray. So we prayed, and then shortly after that, I remember going back to see Carson, and seeing your child for the first time, there's like not even words to describe it. I didn't know what I was going to see. Like, I had no idea anything. And I think I'll share more of that in another video. So after seeing Carson, then I go to my room. Tons of families there to see me. Everyone had seen pictures of Carson. Everyone got to see Carson. So with all that being said, I was diagnosed with HELLP syndrome and eclampsia. I think I'm going to make a video on those two things, a separate video, just a short video on those two things, and kind of talking about my blood work and my symptoms leading up to it. But I was very, very sick. It was a very scary day. By far the best day of my life because it was my son's birthday, but it's definitely the scariest day of my life as well. That's everything leading up to the day that I had him. The next video is actually going to be my best friend's interpretation of what happened that day, because she was with me through all the hospitals. She was there right before I went back for surgery. She was there, like, she got to see him, everything else. And then I'm going to do more videos, so stay tuned. But thanks for listening. Now you guys kind of see what happened. But yes, he is a miracle, and he's doing great. And I'll go over the details of what happened to him over the past 6 months. So stay tuned for more videos. Thanks for watching my channel. I'm going to try and put out at least one video each week.